Imagine developing the formation of a global technology infrastructure platform that integrates 27,000 locations. That's right, 3,700 commercial customers, 440 school districts, 770 counties, 590 cities, all across the United States and Canada. Greetings, everyone, and welcome from the Technology Association of Georgia. It's Tuesday, April 12, 2016, and this is Tech Talk. I'm your host, Frank Baia. Consider managing that platform in support of every level of energy supply and management process, from purchasing and operations to finance and equipment maintenance. Up to the Tech Talk, we speak with Hercu Rabsatt of Mansfield Oil Company, one of North America's most dynamic, trustworthy, and effective energy partners. Hercu is a highly accomplished, multi-talented, high-caliber transformational business leader with a proven track record of successful management of core business operations and growth. With 15 years of experience managing strategic core business services, his experience spans business technology services, financial operations, operations management, sales and marketing, along with HR development and supervision. He's a recognized thought leader and effective positive change visionary, creating collaborative, cooperative, and participative teams in focused environments. Up to the Tech Talk, aligning IT and business to bring stability to both, while at the same time successfully implementing and improving productivity. It's a rare, unique insight and a fascinating roadmap discovery for the integration of both IT and business on a complex and large scale, as we Tech Talk with Mansfield Director of Infrastructure and Service Management, Top Tech Exec, Hercu Rabsatt. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Hercu, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
You know, it's rare that we get an opportunity to speak to a subject matter expert that has such a vast and diverse amount of activity dealing in IT. Let's kind of narrow in on some of the things I think our listening audience would probably be really interested in, and that's, for example, key challenges. Go through what you would consider to be the aligning IT with the business.
I would say that some of the key challenges we have, as we are a 3.5 billion gallon fuel supplier across North America up into Canada, when you look at us as an organization, we're multiple organizations under Mansfield Energy Corporation as the parent company. Mm-hmm. So my responsibility is more of a shared services across the entire enterprise. I have to make sure that I keep each company functioning as a separate entity, no commingling of data and things of that nature. So when you think about it, those are a lot of challenges to make sure that you help each organization run independently and also function together cohesively to bring about profitable outcomes for the entire organization.
I'm guessing you've got a cot in your office. No, we talk to a lot of CIOs, CTOs, and when they're dealing with a specific vertical in a particular industry as a single entity, they're pretty much almost 24/7. I can't imagine how many more hours you could probably put in a day when you're dealing with the kind of horizontal aspect of what you do. Let's talk a little bit about that, though, and that's I guess there's got to be a case of balance, stability. Are you able to bring stability to both the IT and the business?
Absolutely. I think when we kind of sit back and look at the last 2.5, 3 years, when I stepped into the organization, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do from a future perspective in terms of taking the technology stack of the organization and aligning that closer to the business. So what we did was we came up with a 3-year roadmap to essentially stabilize the organization, build the systems and the tools for the future, and then transform the organization into better alignment between technology and the business, to where technology is on the same level as the rest of the business. So when you look at that, we had a lot of different issues. We had some system stability issues. We had process excellence issues. A lot of the things that we've done over the last 2.5 years to improve the overall landscape of the organization. We've deployed patch management, we've deployed software deployment, we've deployed security. Big issue for us, especially being an oil company in America. We want to be able to focus and not only take care of our internal business, but also take care of our external customers as well. So we want to make sure the business is in the proper position to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and our customers going forward to maintain those relationships.
I think that a lot of first-generation entrepreneurs are faced with the challenge of dealing with legacy systems that they've already have in place, and the constant change. Disruption has become not just a word that gets passed around. It's almost used in every description of almost every technology. And I think when it gets really down to it, the simple question is, does it make me money or does it save me money? And I guess what I'm talking about here is productivity. Let's talk a little bit about the processes you were able to successfully implement to improve productivity.
Absolutely. I think when you sit back and you look at it, a lot of the things that we were not doing were just simple blocking and tackling. I think, like I said before, things like patch management, enterprise wireless, software deployments. A lot of the reason was just because we didn't have the right capabilities from a systems perspective. So we needed to really focus on, okay, how do we get to a point where we have always-on technology and things like clustering, to be able to make sure that we can do routine maintenance during the day and the business not be affected by that? How do we get to a point where we can continue to work from an administration perspective and the business can continue to work and have more productivity? In a sense, what we did was we looked at the service landscape and we said, okay, what are the services that we need to provide the business? What are the critical services? And we narrowed that down to about a list of 31 key applications in terms of providing the business the stability that it needed to continue to move forward faster. We brought a lot of those services closer to the organization. If you look at things like email and instant messaging, telephony, and video conferencing, a lot of these things the business didn't have readily available to them. They were there, but you needed to, for one, be on the VPN to access email. You didn't have a real true video conferencing solution. We needed to have the ability to provide these services to the business and not be impediments to progress, because business no longer happens when you're in the office sitting in your seat. Business happens no matter where you are, whether you're in the car, at the grocery store, or doing something not in the office. You should still have the ability to be connected when you want to be and when you need to be for the organization. So what we did was we started looking at, okay, what things can we throw into more services-based software as a service offering. We really were looking at transforming technology from break-fix to a services-based organization. The only thing the business should care about overall is, does the service work when they need it? Because we don't want to be in a situation of, okay, I need to amass all this hardware and build kind of a fiefdom, if you will. We really want to just be able to provide the key critical services that the organization needs when they need it and have increased productivity across the organization. And when you looked at the landscape of the things that we did in terms of replacing systems, doing upgrades and things of that nature over the first year, we probably did about 23 to 26 projects. That helped us to recoup, from an administration perspective, about 80% of our time. So we were now able to stop focusing on day-to-day routine maintenance activities and now focus on the outward landscape of what does the next year to 3 years look like in terms of architecture and design, and how do we continue to partner with the business to align technology and the business together so that we're all moving forward in one common goal in lockstep. And I think the biggest thing for us in terms of aligning technology in the business was we really had to understand what the key business drivers were. What markets do they want to be in, and what's the number one strategic goal of the organization? When we really kind of sat down with the business and started to understand that, that was me sitting down with key executives, the C team, senior VPs, and things of that nature, really understanding what kept them up at night. What are the things that you're worried about? So what we did was we kind of took that, boiled it up into the key initiative for the organization, which is operational excellence for the entire organization, which, when you think about it in theory, is really continuous improvement. It's optimization of key systems and key services and key processes that you deliver to the business. So we modeled ourselves after the organization. And when we started taking that approach, that helped us to align technology and the business together.
Okay, so now we've talked about where you've been. We kind of looked at where you are now. Next step is where are you going and how are you going to get there? I mean, I guess the bottom line question is going to be where's it going in the future? And I guess even more importantly, how is it IT helping it to get you there?
I would say from a future outlook perspective, in looking at what we've done today and where we are at this moment, where we really see ourselves, again, is that whole transformation and growth, right? Evolution. I want to go beyond transformation. I want to evolve into continuous improvement. And I think the way to get there is by moving beyond even the data center. So going beyond having the hardware and touching it and feeling it, that's not really important. What is important is making sure that I have the right skill set on my team to engage and interact with the business. So the big thing is about how do I evolve the technology organization to be able to readily address business-related issues, whether that's sitting down with finance, talking about net present value, whether that's sitting down with operations to talk about things like route optimization in terms of fuel delivery and how do we get into certain key markets with sales and marketing. Those are the things that are imperative. So for me, I look at it as, okay, well, what are the systems and services that I can start pulling out of my data center and putting into a cloud architecture to where I can have sustainability no matter what happens, whether it's on the East Coast, the West Coast. I have the ability to have geo-redundant cloud data centers to fail between or to run systems and services out of from a hot perspective. I think the less things I have in my data center, the better. And the reason behind that is I want to upgrade the talent pool in terms of how we interact with the organization. I want to go from having sysadmin, sysengineers to having architects that can go out and sit with the business and really understand what the key business drivers are. That way, I'll be able to focus more on configuration design as opposed to I have to plug a cable in, I have to unplug something, I have to rack something. Those things really aren't important. That stuff is stuff that the business shouldn't care about. So I want to get to the point where we can function and focus on an ongoing basis at the same level as sales and marketing. Because at that point, when you think about it, that's an evolutionary step. We're going beyond just the data center. We're going beyond technology. Now we are functioning at the same level as sales and marketing and operations and HR because we're doing the same things. We have to manage our customers. We have to manage their expectations. Now it's not just us unplugging and racking and stacking something. Now it's really us being accountable and understanding the need to nurture and develop those relationships.
Powerhouse. I mean, I'm hearing you, and I'm saying to myself, you're engaging the now. We used to talk about convergence, and we talked that as being sort of like the Internet of Things as far as technology is concerned, but now you're talking about context. You're talking about each one of the programmers and the individuals that are dealing with the IT having a sense of not only what they're doing from a technical standpoint, but how it impacts and relates to everything else within the confines of the entire complexity of the business. It's almost a case where you'd say, well, of course, invest in the inevitable. But Eastern philosophers say the solution is simple. It's the implementation. Let's talk as we close out the discussion. What's the roadmap for getting to where you're talking about?
We've sat down. We're now in year 3 of the first 3 years of planning. I really think it's going to be about another 3 years to get us to our end state. Right now, we're doing a lot of things to put ourselves on track to get there. What I'm referencing when I say cloud data centers and geo-redundant, to be honest, what it really is it's us taking our core networking stack and extending our network into somebody else's data center. Because I'll never have the pieces to do, from a security perspective to monitor like Microsoft is going to monitor or Equinix is going to monitor, right? I'll never have the ability to do that. I'm never going to put those type of R&D dollars into that. So it makes more sense to leverage someone who's in that space, who's doing it on a continual basis. And then the only thing I need to worry about is beyond the operating system down to the application layer. And my company is still protected. We've done that in many key services, things like email, instant messaging, even parts of our HR. We currently use Saba and things like that. online for succession planning. The next step for us in terms of this evolutionary growth is, how do I begin to extend my network beyond my borders? How do I extend my network into Microsoft? How do I extend my network into Equinix and other key partners that we do business with? I think really it's going to be a mixture. It's going to be probably 80-20. It'll be 80 in the cloud, 20% on-prem, but it should all function as one and the same. That way I can still hit the systems and services that I need that are in the cloud, as well as have the ability to pull things back on-prem if I absolutely have to, from a recoverability perspective. So I'll have cloud in the data center space, and I'll have the ability to pull it back on-prem if I absolutely have to. I think that's really the roadmap. That's really where we're going. That's really where we see the organization going. And I think that the speed to market value that you get from that is absolutely unmatched when you talk about being able to move the organization forward faster and doing more with less and automation. Those are the things that are going to help us to continue to move the business forward.
It's a powerhouse, Hercu. I mean, there's just, I'm one of the things I'd be fascinated to have you back again and talk a little bit more, because unfortunately we're quickly running out of time. But the bottom line of it is culture, I guess. Part of it is protocol. When you're dealing in collaboration and you're talking about the productivity that you want to achieve through the efficiency of bringing all of these components together and connecting the dots from the technology to the business, one's got to perceive that there's a lot of culture that you're impacting. It's already got belief structures that have to kind of transfer that trust and understanding to yet a greater source. And so the evolution of that and the ability to do what you're looking to accomplish, I mean, like you mentioned, security, I can only imagine that's got to be a concern that pops up all the time. But also, I guess where I'm going here is just the engagement, the willingness to collaborate, and even though it's a good solution, am I really ready to do that from a trust factor? I'm not asking that question now because we're out of time, but I'll leave you with that because I would love an opportunity to invite you back. Hercu, it's been great. You really know your stuff, and you really bring an interesting perspective to what I think is an amazing future as far as IT and business road mapping together the way that you're describing. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of what I know is an extremely busy schedule. As you were talking, I thought to myself, I was right about 24/7 in a cot. I got to believe that the way you're going and the number of things you're doing, you'll have us all doing that by the time you're finished with it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to spend a few minutes with us today on Tech Talk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely enjoyed the conversation.